Torah Or.
Go ahead, Alan.
Torah Or. Parshas Vayishlach, second column. Okay, in the middle of the page of the second column. Okay, Yaakov tried elevating, bringing down the Makifah of Esau. Bottom line is he saw it wasn't working. So therefore, what did he do? He tried doing it himself. And that's why he sent gifts in the world of Teil, the impure Gemalim, and then he davened to Hashem, and he asked the help of the Ovis. And then Alter Rebbe started explaining, he divided the camp into two groups. So the Alter Rebbe asked, why are these two groups? So he says, in Tikkun, in the normal world, there's three Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, right, left, center. In the world of Tehu, there's no three. There's no unity between them, so it's just one under the next. So he says like this was up. The Inyan is like this. It says in Kabbalah, in the world of Tehu, there was an abundance of revelation. Va'kelim mu'atim, and the vessels are very small. Therefore, lefi mitzad kait and akili klifi erech, because the vessel is smaller than the light, ein akli yochel lahachol beis havchim. Therefore, it's not able to handle chesed and gevurah together. Al derech ma. See, he says like this. He gives an example. A brain, an immature brain, cannot understand two different opposite ways of looking at it. For them, it's only one way. A mature brain can understand that there's this way approach and this way approach. Let's see it inside. It says, Aderech Moshe Badam, Misha Sichli Katan, a person is immature Seichel, Le'yochel Beis Havchim Klal. He won't be able to understand two opposite ways of approaching it. If the guy will think he's innocent, he'll never be able to find a guilty verdict. Because in his mind, it's already, and he'll never be able to turn. Why? It's not because he's mature, because on the contrary, he's immature. So he can't see all approaches. This person will only see good. If he only sees good, so then he won't see anything negative. Behepach, and the opposite. If an immature mind will understand it as a negative thing, the guy's guilty, so to speak, he won't be able to make any judgment for good. Because in his mind, it's set in a certain way. So, in other words, not like people think Achozi's a brilliant head. He's on the contrary, it's immaturity of seichel. It's the same person. Sometimes he can only see good, sometimes he can only see bad, but he can't see the true picture. The true picture is taking both things into consideration. They're separated. When it's the level of chesed, he can't handle din. And the same thing, when he only sees din, he can't handle chesed. Therefore, that's beis kaven. That's when you say in the world of Teil. Unlike Tikkun, that there's das that could see both pictures. You always hear the expression, somebody is a bar das. Yeah, but bar das actually means, according to Chassidus, you can see both approaches, and you know which one of the two are right. It's not only that you can see two approaches. Das is even more than that. Das is you see both approaches, and you're able to make a decision based on that. So there are certain people that can only see one thing. If I see guilty, it's only guilty. I see innocent, it's only innocent. That's immaturity of seichel. Then you get, one second, you have a maturity of seichel, I could see both ways. But then you have a deeper level, it's called a bardas, that not only does he understand both approaches, he could also figure out which one of the two are right. You have Eilu va'elu divrei Elokim chayim, and then the Mishnah says in Sanhedrin about David HaMelech, v'havaya imei. Havaya was Hashem was with him. Halacha kameisi b'chol makom. What was the uniqueness of David HaMelech? You have Eilu va'elu divrei, you have Beis Hillel, you have Beis Shammai. But he was able to see which one of the two. That comes from a higher level of Havaya. But in the world of Tehu, there's only Beis Kavim. So if Yaakov is dealing with Esau, he wants to elevate the sparks of Tehu, internalize the world of Tehu, he can't send them three, he can't make the thing that the group is camp into three, because that's not Tehu. Tehu is two.
Isn't that source means opinion?
No. That's what it means in simple English.
Right. So what's the source of that?
Binding connection. Yeah, that's what the simple meaning is. Aval tikun, but in the world of tikun, where teferes is machria, where teferes shnei ksuvim machishim that shaver kozav ashlishi. That's ben chesed gvur agam shegam b'shas din, meaning that even at the time of din, you could find favor. You could find yochelias gamkin netilas chus v'chein lehepach. Why can you have both? Why can you handle both things? Because tikkun, in the world of tikkun, unlike teil, there's an abundance of light and minimal of kalim. In the world of tikkun, it's the opposite: maximum kalim and minimal ur. So therefore, the ur comes in; you can handle it and understand it properly. Therefore, it comes out in the world of tikkun, the vessel is broad enough. Like you said, a person with a broad head, broad mind. He can tolerate two opposite opinions. And he both can rest in his brain to understand. From this way, this approach, you can find merit. Even though there's also a chayv way, but you can look and analyze both things together. And that's the level of Gimel Kavim. By the way, there's a very interesting thing. We spoke about this many times. People, there's a din in Shulchan Aruch, a dayan and a bezdin is not allowed to hear one side without the next, without the presence of the second side. You're not allowed to. And if he does, by the way, he becomes disqualified from the din Torah. Sometimes dayanim, if they don't want to sit on the din Torah, for whatever reason, they tell the guy, okay, tell me what you stood. Then they say, okay, I'm disqualified because I heard one side. What happens when you hear one side? Or this is also in husbands and wives. Everybody takes sides. The husband's wrong, the wife's wrong, the rabbi's wrong, the guy president's right. Everybody's taking opinions. What's the problem? They hear one side, and you automatically formulate an opinion. And because the people are so narrow-minded, take the word of Tehu, they can't understand that maybe they're not right in the approach that they're taking. Maybe there's a second approach. That's where das comes into the story. So therefore, halacha is you're not allowed to listen in anything. You don't have to be an official bezdin. If two people are quarreling, and you take and you make an opinion, that means you're judging the case. Not in court, but in public opinion you're judging the case. Or in your own opinion you're judging the case. That doesn't show a maturity of a brain. It shows an immaturity and really stupidity of the brain. Because you have to be able to understand there's two sides to every story. Until you hear two sides, it's a completely different thing.
You have to hear both sides with
presence of both? Or
Yes.
you can-
No.
You have to.
In a Bezdin, you must hear both sides together.
No, all together.
Yeah.
You can't hear once and then
No,
go to the
no.
other. You have to.
No. Not in, and again, in a court of public opinion maybe, but in halacha, in Bezdin, they're not allowed to hear one side without the other one present.
And if you heard one side, you're
No.
disqualified?
Yeah.
You cannot say, well, I'll hear one
Unless
side.
if both parties agree that even though you heard one side, they don't care.
I see.
We learned that nothing could exist unless we have 10 Sefirot, right?
That's where Hashem made it, yeah.
So in Word of Torah, there was,
There's also 10 spheres.
if the Ferris existed, it's in the middle.
No. There's Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, that's it's one line. It's
The way it goes is,
Tiferes is there isn't three. There's only Zetach. Okay, so what happened over here with Yaakov and Esau? He says, Yaakov and Esau. In this case of Yaakov and Esau, Shaya Yaakov tzarich lahamshich layamakiv detayim. Yaakov had to bring down. He wanted to bring down. So he wanted Esau to help him bring down, but Esau wasn't ready. So he wants to bring down the makiv of Tehu, which is the Tehu shebegli gvul. He wanted to bring down Tehu, which is infinite, right? The tikkun is limited, but Tehu is unlimited. He had to elevate, again, man is mayim nukfen, feminine water, which is Kabbalistic word for isarusa de lasata, an awakening from below. Therefore, the keli from below, what type of keli do you need to make? The keli based on what you want to bring down from above. If you're planning to make a small keli, that means you're planning only to bring down a little bit from above. If you're planning to make a big keli, it means you want to bring down a lot from above. What comes down is based on the keli. A big keli gets a lot, a little keli gets a little. Based on the level of elevation, meaning the keli you make, that's the way that the revelation comes down. Because, again, Yaakov Avinu wanted to bring down the revelations of Tehu. Tehu is 2 kavim. So therefore, what type of keli does he need to make? 2 kavim. He can make 3 kavim for a 2 revelation gilui. לכן הוא צריך גם כדזל ויחד תסם לשני מחנות. Therefore, he divided the camp into his people into 2 camps. Dogmas elam ateu shalishama yuzet tachazet. In Tehu is like we said, one under the next. V'ulei b'tzir gimel kavim canal not in a level of 3. V'ayidei zayiskashe b'elam ateu la'amshich makiv. That's what he wanted to do. And therefore he continues, therefore he brought down Hatam Atzma Yuvan. Hatam Ashihikar Yaakov Mincha. What did Yaakov bring? Izim Asayim, 200 goats, and the Rechelim, whatever, and then the Gemalim and all that. She'inyan Mincha Zu. What was this gift? It was like we said, Mincha means a korban. Yaakov is making a keli to Esau to bring down these 2 kavim. V'aderech inyan ha-korbanos, she'en aloes man, like a korban is awakening from below. Lahamshich mat, awakening from above. She'es ma'isa korbanos mipteira teira mishchutim dafka. Okay? So, if you want to bring a korban to the Beis HaMikdash, it has to be a kosher animal. Right? That's clear as then. Ach shchita ksheira bezor. Okay? The din is shchita didn't have to be by a kohen. Only Kabbalah Saddam ve'ilot Gemara says. V'leimatzin ul korban teira. V'chai rak soya mizazir asir an azozel. Okay, that was something like this. Every korban, okay, the criteria of a korban was kosher, unblemished, shechted. There's only one korban, which was done once a year, that the animal wasn't shechted. That's when they threw off the goat off the Azazel. Okay? When they sent it to Azazel, so they didn't kill it. They threw it off live, and the animal, died on the way, or when it hit the ground. So that was the only korban that didn't need to be shechted. וגם הקורבנות היו מקריבים רק החלב האדם. And also, what did they bring on all korbanos? The blood and the fats and the blood. והמן חזייס ששלח יעקב לעשו, what behemoths tameos were also tray for animals. וגם שהם חיים לשחוטים. He didn't shech the animals. He sent living animals to Esau. That means his korban was not shechted animals, it was living animals, like the Azazel. Again, why did he do that? So again he says, Mishum Sha'alo Asman, which is the mincha, the gift of Yaakov, was Laham Shechmad, to bring down the revelation from above of Eilam Ateu. He said like this, the man and mad, they're awakening from below, and the revelation from above of the world of Tehu, in the world of Tikkun, the awakening from below and the revelation from above is different than awakening from below and the revelation from above of Tehu. It's two different worlds. Which in this world of Tikkun, right, in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, or nowadays davening, which is instead of korbanos, it shall bechinas eilam hatikkun atzilus, meaning eilam hatikkun or panimi. What's tikkun? Tikkun, like we said before, the Or internalizes itself in the keli. In the world of Tehu, the Or was too big for the keli, so it never really came into the keli because the keli couldn't handle the Or. So there was never internalization. There was only a superficial connection between the Or and the Keli. In the world of Tehu, Tikkun, which is Or Pnim Yisharis Mitzamsim V'Nitzvasim B'Techa Keli, or Mi'ach Asher Yochel L'Sav B'Techa Keli, in the fact that the Or was able to come into the Keli, internalized, that means, okay, godliness is infinite. How can, in the world of Tikkun, Atzilus, how could the Or HaChesed, which is godly, infinite, come into the Klei HaChesed, into the Keli of Chesed? So obviously, in order for infinite to come into a finite Keli, there had to be tzimtzum. The Or had to be limited and limited and limited until it comes down in the level of the Keli of Atzilus, and Bria and Yitzir and Asiyah. In the world of Tehu, there's no symptom, because the Or anyway is too great for the Keli. There's no limiting of the Or. So in Korbanos, there had to be limitations. It had to be kosher animal, it had to be complete, it had to be shechted. That's all a process of limiting how the korban was to be able to internalize that Or in the Keli. That was Yom Kippur, when it was Yichid Shebenafesh, it's Love Makif.
So the intensity of the Or was the same, but the Kli was changed. Between Tohu and...
No. In Tikkun, the Or was much more limited than the Or is in Tehu. That's why it was able to come into the Kelim. The revelations of Tehu were not symptomed, so to speak. They weren't limited. At a certain extent they were, but...
It was a higher word?
Yeah, Tehu is higher than Tikkun. Yeah. That's why Esau is firstborn and Yaakov isn't. And that's why when we eat food, we learned how can food which is lower than us sustain us. So we learned, right? It comes from the higher world. The higher it is, the lower it falls. So people are human. The fact that there's inanimate plant animal that are lower than human here, that means it comes from a higher place, because the higher the place, the lower it falls. So that's why that's why the Arizal explains, how do we sustain ourselves from things lower than us? Because in the origin, in the source, they come from a higher place. So Tehu is much higher than Tikkun. That's why Yaakov Avinu wanted to bring down the earth of Tehu. He wanted to internalize that Gilui of Esau internally into himself. But Esau was not cooperating. And that won't happen until Mashiach comes.
Is there a tendency of the light to want to go back?
Yes. The second, well, not so much by or, let's go by fire. The second, the fuel is gone, the flame disappears. Not only that, when the flame is burning, it's always flickering up. Why does it flicker up? Scientifically, because gas is lighter than air, so therefore it's going up. But according to Torah, the reason why the flame goes upward, because the nature and tendency of everything is to go back to its source. Mm-hmm. The source of fire is under the rotation of the moon. So the fire is constantly flickering and wants to get away from the wick. The second has an excuse, so to speak. There's no opportunity, yeah, that's a better word. Opportunity to get out of the fire, the wick. And Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, in Perek Ches, Lochayra doesn't make sense. Here, the flame is something. When the flame leaves, the flame is nothing. So why would it want to become from something nothing?
Right.
And the answer is, Kachu b'tivai, that's the nature and meaning, it's not logical.
Self-preservation.
It's not so, no, on the contrary. Logic, nature is against logic. The nature of a fire is to go upward. That's why in the Neshama, we learned many times that you can shuckle, shake in the middle of davening. Subconsciously you're shaking. Why? So it says in Sfarim, because the Neshama is flickering to get out of the body, to go back to Hashem. You don't shuckle when you're doing business. Right? Unless you're very nervous. Why? But people show, they learn, and subconsciously, they're not, okay, I'm going to shuckle now, Subconsciously, because the neshama is flickering to get out. Okay. Lochein, ha-teira shenimshachas misham, therefore, teira that comes in the world of tikkun, he gamkim b'chinas diktukim v'tzimtzumim. Therefore, Torah has limitations. In other words, you want to do a mitzvah, you can't do it the way you want to do it. The Torah tells you certain limitations, how a mitzvah must be done. And you can't do it any other way. Why? Because in order to bring down the revelation of godliness, to bring down the revelation of godliness by putting on tefillin, you have to do it the way Hashem tells us to do it, based on Torah, written Torah and oral Torah. So if somebody decides they're going to put tefillin on their foot, I want to put tefillin on my foot, or they want to put the tefillin backwards, whatever. It's not working. It doesn't do anything. Are you still wearing tefillin? But you're not wearing the tefillin the way Hashem told you to wear it. There has to be details in the mitzvah. Because you need the art in the keli. So the keli has to be befitting of the art. And the Torah says, the vessel for this revelation is not what you want it to be. Hashem says, the way I want it to be, in these details of the mitzvah. That's the way you do it.
And that's the oil.
That's
the oil. That's
correct. Correct. Or in other language, the bread that Kaviyach Hashem eats, that he stays in the world.
If somebody out of innocent ignorance makes mistakes or does it the wrong way, is Haikara Kavanah plays any role?
No. Oh, well, yeah, it's a good... he could have had the intentions of killing somebody instead. But the bottom line is, I said this many times, you have a cup of poison, but on the label it says super healthy. super healthy, and you drink it. Your intent was to drink health food. Bottom line, what did you do though? Are you going to say you're going to stay alive because your intent you meant well? I was once in somebody's house, many, many years ago, and they had something on the table of food. It didn't have a reliable hechsher. Anyway, so he said to him, you really shouldn't use this, it's not a reliable hechsher. So he said to me, doesn't matter, he says it's kosher, he's going to die, not me. Spiritually, in other words, he's going to burn, not me. I said to him, you chacham, you're drinking the poison, not him. The guy says to you, it's not poison, it's healthy. And you're going to drink, who's going to die, you or him? I mean, like, come on. So yes, when somebody said sin accidentally, it's not as severe, but the bottom line is you still did the killing, you still spiritually killed yourself. You go into a butcher store and by mistake the meat was treif, and by mistake somebody put it on a kosher label. It's not your fault. Nevertheless, did you eat treif? Yes, you ate treif. Did it affect your body in a negative way? Yes. It's not your fault? Okay, so you didn't do it intentionally, you did it unintentionally. But the bottom line is, if somebody does something medically dangerous, no, out of ignorance. The medication said 1 pill 3 times a day. He thought it said 5 pills 5 times a day. He meant well. What's going to happen? God forbid, he's going to die of OD.
But